We're here today at Camden Register Office, where Stephanie and Andrew are going to be filing their application for a civil partnership. Under the current law, gay couples are banned from civil marriages and heterosexual couples are banned from civil partnerships. The Equal Love campaign is saying that both these discriminations are wrong. We believe that civil partnerships and civil marriages should be open to all couples without discrimination.
Well, we've been together just over 5 years and we're incredibly in love with each other, and we are committed and we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, and we would like something that reflects that in a legal status and I suppose in a social way as well, but doesn't have the trappings, the undesirable trappings of marriage.
Historically speaking, marriage was never really about love and romance. It was first and foremost an institution to guarantee the inheritance of property through the male line, the passing of property from father to son. For some heterosexual couples, and indeed for some gay couples, they don't like the misogynistic background and tradition of marriage. They see marriage as a patriarchal institution, as an institution that traditionally has oppressed women, and therefore they don't want to be part of it.
Well, we want the civil partnership because we want the legal status and the social status of a sort of an official kind of committed relationship. We also want a big party, but we don't want to get married, so civil partnership's ideal.
For centuries, marriage has been an institution for the male sexual control of women. We see that in the tradition whereby the father of the bride traditionally gives her away to the future husband. So it's about passing women from one man to another. And understandably, a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that history and tradition. And that's why some heterosexual people would prefer to have a civil partnership. They see it as not having the baggage that goes with marriage, and they see it as a more co-equal democratic institution in that the partners are not called husband and wife, they're called civil partners. They're both called civil partners. There's no differentiation between male and female. So hi Stephanie and Andrew, it's your big day. Can you introduce yourselves?
I'm Stephanie Munro, I'm 27, I'm the Administration Manager for No to ID.
And I'm Andrew O'Neill, I'm 31 years old, and that always sounds a bit too much, and I'm a stand-up comedian.
And how long have you been together?
Just over 5 years.
Okay. Now you're going to apply for a civil partnership. Why do you want a civil partnership?
For two main reasons. One, we don't feel that marriage really represents our relationship. We don't like the patriarchal and homophobic baggage, and we want something new. We want something, a different institution, something that's based around partnership.
What about you, Andrew?
Very much the same reasons. We also feel that if we're going to get married, and that option isn't available to gay couples, it somehow doesn't feel right. The whole patriarchal aspect of it, the kind of gendered roles within marriage seem, no matter how far you might kind of hide them, they're still there as long as that institution isn't open to people, regardless of their relative gender.
So for you it's sort of partly a gesture of solidarity with gay people who are banned from marriage.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. It's about opening up both institutions to all people, because as long as marriage is only open to straight couples and civil partnerships only open to gay couples, then one is always going to be deemed inferior or not quite the same as the other, and they should be.
And what do you say to people who might claim, well, marriage, you can make it what it is, it may have all these traditions, but it's up to you to make marriage work the way you want it.
Yeah, you can, but then what you have to do is you have to pick the whole thing apart, the number of weddings I've been to where people have done a few things a little bit differently, that has to be explained, the whole process of, the bride being given away, what names people are going to have, the groom being there at the beginning of the bride coming, all those sorts of things that people just kind of naturally fall into. If you have a different institution that's open to people regardless of their gender, you can build it from the ground up, because same-sex couples don't have those sort of hurdles, and you can literally take it apart and then you can make it into what you want. As long as it's marriage, as long as it's based on this archaic ceremony that is essentially about handing a woman from the father to her husband. That's what the whole ceremony is based on. It doesn't matter how far you run away from those, that's always going to be the foundation of it.
And how would you feel about being known as a wife?
I'd hate it. I think I must have been about 9 when I said, I'm never going to get married. And since then, my ideas have sort of matured, and I've actually got, I think my reasons are quite immature. As a 9-year-old, obviously they would be, but I've developed my reasoning for not wanting to get married, and I'm still, steadfastly, it's just not my sort of thing. I would never want to be a wife.
Even if you think about the language, like the word husband, think about husbandry, sort of animal husbandry, or the gardening. So it's about looking after and tending and owning, and the whole thing, no matter how you kind of dress it up, is still going to be based on those fundamental principles that we strongly disagree with.
Okay, well, good luck, and
thank you very much.
Off you go.
Cheers. Let's do it.
Bye. So, Stephanie and Andrew, what was the result?
The result was that we're not allowed a civil partnership because of the law, and they're going to send us a letter to tell us that we're not allowed a civil partnership because of the law. They offered us a marriage. They were very efficient and very sort of careful. There was a wonderful point when they sort of literally established our genders. So you're male and you're female, right? Okay, just, which is, I think, a really nice sign of being in Camden. Kind of went, we don't want to offend anyone here. You
didn't have to undergo a medical examination.
No, there was no sort of, cupping and coughing involved. It was, but no, it was a sort of flat refusal, and then we asked for the letter, and I think at that point she sort of wondered if it was something we were using against this particular council office, and sort of explained, no, it's, you've been lovely, but it's about, the legal underpinning of the reason we can't do it. So
sadly, it's been another rejection here today in Camden, but the battle continues. Stephanie and Andrew will join with 7 other couples, 4 gay and 4 straight, to further the Equal Love campaign by initiating a joint legal action in the courts, with the idea of overturning both the ban on gay civil marriage and heterosexual civil partnership. And we are very confident that in the end we will win.
To find out more about the Equal Love campaign, have a look at equallove.org.uk.
And you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
equallove.org.uk.
That's rubbish.
Why is that rubbish? See? It's working. equallove.org.uk.